Welcome to the High Sensory Mothers podcast with Karen Hunt, a supportive space dedicated to mothers with high sensory intelligence. Each week, I'll share insights from my own experiences and those of my clients, alongside empowering conversations with inspiring guests who offer practical wisdom and guidance. Together, we'll help you embrace your sensitivity so you can thrive, not just in motherhood, but in your life and business too. Hi, and welcome to episode 7 of the High Sensory Mothers podcast. And I'm your host, Karen Hunt. So today I wanted to do something a little different from what I've done before. And I think I said that on my last episode because there we were looking at a book that I had just finished reading. And it was really impactful for me. And I just wanted to add some reflections on that for you. And so today is similar in that sense, in that I'd like to talk about the importance of connecting to nature. And just before I dive into that, I'll explain how this came about. So I have a little ritual, a routine, if you like, that I do every morning. And well, when I say every morning, almost every morning, I have this lovely little area in my office, which is a coffee table, and I have a couple of nice chairs in there. One of the first things I do in the morning is I make a lemon drink, and I have that with a real bar. And my favourite is the banana bread. And I really enjoy that. It's like a special little treat that I have every morning. And it's like my kind of pre-breakfast breakfast. It just gives me enough energy. And as I sit down and have that drink and eat that bar, I will read a book. And the books that I read at that time are sort of coffee table books, I guess you would call them. The one I'm currently reading is called The Gifts of Essential Oils, and it's an ideal book to read in the morning as I have my tea, because I read about one oil at a time. So when you open the book, obviously you've got the left side page and the right side page, and on the left hand side there's a description of a particular essential oil, and on the right hand side of that page there are 3 different blends that you can use, making use of that particular oil. And so I like to have a look at that, and I tend to just read about one oil per day. And this is what inspired me to create this episode, because as I was reading, I have these note cards on that table as well. And sometimes I'll want to write some notes out. And I wrote the importance of connecting to nature on this particular card as it came to me. And then I started writing about my experiences with essential oils. The idea that I had at that point was to go on about all the different ways of connecting to nature. But actually, I wrote 5 cards and the reverse notes on essential oils. So this is not meant to be a basic guide to essential oils. It's not meant to be about anything particularly specific, except the oils that came to me as I was sitting down and feeling inspired. So now I've laid that context, let's dive into what I have to share with you. I wanted to just bring out a few oils that I've had profound experiences with and explain what they were. I do actually own a lot of oils. It's dozens of oils that I have. Maybe it's 100. Anyway, I love them and they're amazing. I'm not going to beat myself up about it because they've been really super impactful for me. They've really helped me a lot. So basil's an interesting one because we all know what basil is. We all have probably eaten basil on a salad or in a pesto or something like that. So who'd have thought that I would have had such a profound reaction to smelling basil for the first time? So when I got basil for the first time, as always, I was very excited to open up a new bottle and to smell what this oil smells like. And this particular one, I opened the bottle and the smell of basil drifted out of the bottle into my nose. And I can remember it now, that as the oil just went into my nose, in my nostrils, down the back of my throat, I could feel it reaching my solar plexus. At the same time, this wave of anger rose up from my body to sort of meet the oil, it feels like, inside my body. And I felt so much anger. Well, it felt bizarre at the time. I was shocked. There was all this energy in my solar plexus, and it was just so overpowering. I just felt like swearing and stomping and shouting. And that isn't really the way I behave. I'm not a swearer. It takes an awful lot for me to get angry and to shout. It's a very rare occurrence. And in fact, my daughters will laugh if it happens. And I can't, God, it's been several years now, I think, since I got angry. And they just look at me, and then within seconds, we're all laughing because it just seems so odd. So just again, to put that into context, that it was so strange that I had this reaction. But what I've learnt is that these oils can create this intense response for us. And when you have an intense response to an oil, and it can be absolutely loving it, or it can be absolutely hating it, or it can be like me having this response, it feels like my body needed to release this. And suddenly it was almost like Basil came along and said, okay, here I am, time to let it go. And there it was released, like the genie in the bottle, really. That's how it felt. And it took some time for me. This was about probably around 2008, I think. Sorry, 2018. So about 7 years ago when this happened to me. And as you can imagine, I was quite scared of having such an intense reaction. So I was a little bit cautious going forward about different oils because they have a profound impact upon me. And I think because I'm an HSP, it does have a huge impact. So that was my experience with basil. And just to update you on that, my feelings with basil now are very different. I was smelling it the other day as I was reading about it in this book, and it just feels so lovely and soft and gentle and nuanced. I can smell so many different elements to it, which I certainly couldn't 7 years ago. So they have this ability to change us, and I feel that they work in harmony with us, as nature does, because we are nature. So I found that really fascinating. Another experience I had with a different oil, this oil is called Melissa, and it actually comes from lemon balm. So interestingly, like another herb. And it's a very expensive oil, this one. So it took me quite a long time before I got this one. And the experience I had with this is I did this challenge that people that I am connected with in the essential oils world were running this challenge. And the idea was that you put a little bit of Melissa oil on your thumb and then pressed it to the roof of your mouth. And you did this on the hour, every hour for 12 hours. And it was surprising how difficult that seemed, and how sometimes those hours would come really quickly and sometimes it felt like it was taking ages to get to the next hour. And also, it felt like that was a lot of hours in the day. But anyway, what happened with this is within the first few hours, I was really feeling high and so energized and light and happy and joyful. It was an incredible feeling. It's an amazing oil and it really does lift you higher, and it helps you reach a higher vibration and a higher frequency. Melissa's known as the oil of light, and I certainly had a physical feeling of being filled with light and feeling lighter the more the day went on. And I'd say it's certainly been a really useful oil for me to reach for when I'm feeling potentially low or depressed, because it just lifts you up. And again, that was probably around that 2018, 2019 mark, I think, when I tried that for the first time. One of the problems I wanted to solve was having headaches and migraines regularly, because they really impacted my life and what I could do. It was difficult for me to work when I got migraines, obviously, and also looking after my children. So when I learned that there was an oil blend, actually, this one is, that can help potentially, I was very excited to try that. And this particular blend is called Past Tense. It includes a few different oils: wintergreen, lavender, peppermint, frankincense, cilantro, marjoram, Roman chamomile, basil, and rosemary. And it doesn't smell great to me, I have to be honest, but it really worked for me. It was an amazing oil to help me let go. And I think the name says it all, past tense. I did hold a lot of tension, and I tended to hold it in my neck, shoulders, and head. And that's why I had headaches and migraines. But this combination of oils would just help me let go. And consequently, since I started using this oil, I very rarely have a headache or a migraine. It's just not as intense. In fact, I think it was probably a good year or so from when I started using it until I did get anything like a headache or a migraine again. So that was an incredible experience for me. Another blend that I want to talk about is called Deep Blue. And that's another amazing blend. And this one was really impactful for my daughter, who was having quite bad pains in her legs. And this Deep Blue blend is really great for muscle aches, joint pain, and tension. It can help with chronic pain and to soothe inflammation. And again, this one has wintergreen in it, and camphor, peppermint, ylang ylang, helichrysum, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and osmanthus. It's quite a strong smell. It reminds me of a spa. It gives that kind of spa smell. Sometimes I would also use that as well for headaches and things like that, because it had a very kind of cooling effect. So that was another amazing experience. And in summary, all these experiences happened over a period of time. I just never realized how beautiful, how potent, how meaningful essential oils were. I just thought it was really about nice smells. And it's so much more than that. I found frankincense, which was something that I'd heard of because of the Christmas stories. I knew about Jesus and the three wise men giving gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but I never understood what they were. But frankincense was an amazing and is an amazing oil. And back when I first started using them, it was one of the first ones I was using. And I had a very simple skin routine at that point where I just really used coconut oil and I added frankincense and lavender. And my skin just kept getting better and better. It was smoother, it was plumper, it was younger looking. Gradually, the faint lines that I had at that time were smoothing out. It was visible, noticeable. My daughters were noticing that I was looking better and younger. So that was an interesting experience, but it's an incredible oil because it's so good for so many different things. And I was using frankincense and myrrh, and I learnt that frankincense is the king of oils and myrrh is the queen of oils. And together they have that masculine and feminine energy. And I found when I was using the myrrh oil, again, it doesn't really smell that great to me, but it just feels so warm and gentle and cozy, and it's like being wrapped up in a warm, cozy, soft blanket. And it's a very nurturing oil. It epitomizes the wonderful qualities of being female. It feels like a really safe cocoon, and I would just sigh and just feel that relief and that safety when I was wearing those oils. And this was me just using it for my skin, on my face. A little bit of frankincense, a little bit of myrrh, and a little bit of coconut oil. I wouldn't recommend using coconut oil now, but at the time I did used to use it. But another oil that I had great experience with was wild orange. It just smelled like happiness and joy and playfulness and enthusiasm. It just smells so good. Literally like you've just cut into this beautiful, juicy, warm, organic orange from the grove. It's an incredible smell. So I absolutely love that. I did want to talk about one more oil that was really impactful for me. And this relates, I would say, probably specifically to us as HSPs. There's a blend called Air, and it used to be called Breathe. And it's all about the respiratory system because it helps support your airways and helps you breathe more easily, and it's invigorating and refreshing. And it can also be beneficial for releasing emotional tension, essentially. Because it's related to the lungs, when you're looking at Chinese medicine, the lungs are all about sadness, aren't they, and grief. And I've certainly found that in my practice, I tend to most days drop an oil blend called Air, which I'll just tell you quickly what's in there. There's the laurel leaf, peppermint, eucalyptus, tea tree, or as it's also known, melaleuca, lemon, cardamom, and ravensara and Ravinsara. I add 1 drop onto the palm of my hands. I rub my hands together like this, and then I cup my hands over my nose and mouth and breathe a drop in, and then I breathe out of my mouth, and I do that again. And a 3rd time, I'll make my right hand into a tube and I'll hold it over the top of my left palm where the drop of oil is. And then I will breathe in through my mouth. Basically, I'm replicating an inhaler, and I'll do that a few times. So that 1 single drop will serve for both of those. Now, when I do that, I feel really clear in my lungs. My breathing feels better. I feel energized. And what can often happen is that I have a wave of sadness or grief or emotion come up. And for me, I really well up and cry very easily. So I easily release, which is the positive way of looking at that. I easily can release these feelings through my tears. And so this oil blend facilitates that for me. So it's both a combination of allowing a release of stuck energy, perhaps sadness or feelings that I don't want to hold on to in my body. And it's important to say that I'm not aware of these in the moment. I'm not aware of the fact that I'm sad for some reason or whatever. There might just be some kind of build up. And by doing this practice every day, it's a really small thing. And I don't know if it would have the same effect upon you or not, but it's perhaps worth a try. And I am able to let go of these feelings that are obviously in my body somehow. And then I feel more energized as well because I allow the time that I need to release these feelings. Sometimes there's nothing there to release, and other times there is, because it passes very quickly. And then I'm feeling good and I'm feeling ready and set for the day. So it's a really powerful thing to do in the morning, but honestly, you can do it at any time. So that's just a little insight into how I've used these oils. And I can't believe how long it's taken me to talk to you about those few oils. And I haven't even gotten to all the bits that I was going to talk to you about. But I think it's important that I do. Let me just refer to the notes that I made, and I will just fill in a bit more info on the importance of using pure oils. One thing I've noticed is that I can now discern a pure oil, and I'm not saying that I couldn't be fooled, but I have sourced oils from a reputable company that cares about where these oils come from, how they're grown, the people that gather the plant matter to distill the oils. They care about the environment that they're grown in and respect that. And they do not adulterate the oils, which is really important. And so many oils are actually adulterated to a greater or lesser degree. And sometimes the companies themselves, if they don't directly deal with the farmers, with the growers, they can be fooled as well. So for me, it feels like I can discern the difference between an oil that's adulterated and one that isn't from the different ones that I've bought over the years. In my body, there's this feeling like I don't want to take a deep breath when there's an adulterated oil. Even if it smells nice, it just doesn't feel as real. It doesn't feel authentic. My body knows. It feels a bit like the difference between freshly picked whole food and processed fast food. And there are degrees, right? In that you might have an apple tree in your garden, for example, and it's beautiful and fresh, you can just pick it and eat it. And that feels different from, say, a fresh apple grown halfway across the world, and then you get to eat it. And again, it can feel different to a apple flavoured sweet. So there are many degrees along that journey. But when you do come into contact with such a pure oil, there's an energetic quality to it. That's what resonates inside, and that's when my lungs are happy to absorb it when I breathe it in, because they don't just smell nice, and as I've mentioned, some of them don't actually smell nice. But what's interesting is that sometimes they don't smell nice today, but try them in a few weeks or a few months or even a few years, and it can smell quite different to you then. And that's because it really can impact and change your body. It can change your mood, it can change your being immediately, like within seconds, which is an incredible thing, which I had no idea that would be possible, but it is possible, and it does happen, as I've explained with some of my experiences. It really is an experience and an easy and powerful way to take charge of yourself. You know, your well-being and your growth and development. You can literally use them in all sorts of ways. And I see each oil, each bottle as a friend. It's a friend you can call on whenever you need them. And all they want is the best for you. And I believe that they're here to be seen too, just like you are. They have tremendous value, just like you do. And they want to make the world a better place, just like us. And they can do that through you. By assisting them to help you, you're also helping them to fulfill their purpose. And I do believe that they really, truly can help us connect with our true selves and all the realms that we inhabit through our senses. We can create a powerful environment for ourselves, and we can craft it to be exactly what we need to help support us through all the ups and downs that we experience in our lives. And they can assist us in any change that we want to make in ourselves. They can make our desires tangible. If we want to declutter our home, for example, I challenge you to diffuse lemongrass. You will feel it in your body. You'll want to pick stuff up and clear things out. It really does help you clear space, and it's an incredible oil for clearing your physical space and your mental and energetic space too. It just enters your system and inspires you to take action. And so each oil carries with it an energetic frequency that connects with our infinite intelligence, and we can't help but respond. It's so powerful but incredibly subtle as well, because it's just a simple way for us to invite change into our lives. So when you're as sensitive as we are sensitive to our environment. And so this is a really magical way to help facilitate change. So when we're using essential oils in this conscious way, as long as they're not adulterated and they're sourced with integrity, they have this incredibly quick, powerful and easy way for you to make the progress that you want to make in your life, and also in your family and business. They can help you get started with something when you're feeling scared. They can motivate you when you're struggling. I absolutely loved using the Motivate blend when I was wanting to start a new business. It was just the most amazing blend. It's a very encouraging blend. It helps you when you're feeling stuck or discouraged, or you're just hesitant to take that next step. It's got peppermint in it and clementine, coriander, basil again. It's funny, isn't it, how basil keeps showing up. Yuzu, melissa, which of course we've talked about before, rosemary and vanilla bean extracts. It's just so yummy. The oils can also be used to help you to get back in balance when you're overwhelmed, which is a really useful thing for us. And it can just happen within a few breaths. So it's literally something that can take seconds. It's just amazing. And I really don't know too many other things that you can do in such a short amount of time that has such an impact. Now, I just want to say that I'm not saying that everything can be done quickly and easily, because they're not a substitute for doing the hard work of putting all the things that you need to in place. But knowing that you can have this literal army of friends at your disposal can help you relax a little bit. When you're feeling down, there's an oil that can pick you up. When you need to focus, there's an oil that can help sharpen your attention. When you're feeling frazzled, there's an oil that can help soften and unwind you. You can set your intentions for the day and choose an oil that will help amplify that. And you can do the same for your family. You can diffuse an oil or a blend of oils that will help create the setting that you want for them, for your home. Say you've got children that need to reconnect with their playfulness after school. Diffuse wild orange before they come home. You can enjoy witnessing their creativity as they feel that permission to play again. And perhaps you'll be inspired to join in with them too, because you will connect with that playful side as well. Playing with children helps us leave behind that sometimes drudgery of adulting and just embark on a magical ride of spontaneity. We can more easily connect with our hearts and each other. You can leave behind your worries, be in the moment with your children. They are just masters of that. You'll get so much from it and your relationship with them will grow. They're so generous, aren't they, when we give them the opportunity to play and they will invite us in. And when you've got younger children, that's such a gift, and it will pay dividends in the future when they're older, when perhaps a lot of teenagers and young people don't want to share with you. But I think when you have this really good foundation when they're younger, it can really help. And if you do have older children and things aren't perhaps quite as rosy, then maybe that's even more important to encourage that childlike playfulness too. And I do find that the oils themselves, they feel to me like they're just really generous, and they are wanting the opportunity to be used by us because they can help us shift from one state to another. Rosemary is a great one for doing that. It's really good for transitions, as an example. Okay, so that was quite a long episode. I really love essential oils, as you can tell, and I could talk about them for hours, clearly. So I hope that was interesting. If you have yet to use essential oils, perhaps you'll feel inspired to try. If you do already use them, I'd love to talk more about them. So let me know what your favourite oils are, and if you'd like to share some experiences that you've had with them, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Enjoyed today's episode? If you haven't already, I'd be so grateful if you could subscribe and leave a quick review. It really does help other high sensory mothers discover this podcast. To stay connected, visit my website where you can sign up to receive episode updates straight to your inbox. Or book a free call if you're curious about working together. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to next time when I'll share more insights on embracing your high sensory gifts.